Well, it is 7:30, so I would like to welcome everybody to our Town Board of the Town of Ossining regular meeting for Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I actually have a flag tonight, so you can see a live flag, hopefully. You can see it. And here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I thank our Highway Superintendent, Mr. Pete Connolly, for that flag. Okay, so go off to our roll call. Martha Kudisaka, would you like to take us through?
Sure. Councilmember Feldman?
Present.
Councilmember Shaw?
Present.
Councilmember Meyer?
See him.
And Councilmember Wiltshire?
Yeah.
I'm here too.
Oh, and Supervisor Levenberg, so sorry.
That's okay. No problem. Okay, so first up, are we ready for this? Everybody? Victoria Caffarelli, are we ready for this? Yes?
I believe so.
Okay. I'm not 100% sure, so I just wanted to double check. Okay. I'm going to ask attendee if we're ready for this. Are we ready? Can you give me a thumbs up? If you're on an attendee, named attendee, can you give me a thumbs up? Oh, I think we're just about ready. Okay, fantastic. So before we get into our public hearing tonight, we have a very special recognition that we would like to share with you. Our Town of Ossining Environmental Advisory Committee, also known as our EAC, is here with us tonight, and no, not just so we can talk about bees, although that is going to happen too. One of their student members was notified of something pretty fantastic. Nick Takuru was recently named a semi-finalist in the competitive 2021 National Merit Scholarship Program. Okay, Nick, yes, it was a surprise. I hope it worked. Just one of only 16,000 students from over 1.5 million applicants nationwide. Wow. Nick, you are truly one in a million. Plus, in addition to this remarkable academic achievement, Nick has served as a member of our EAC as a student volunteer, and his passion for the environment and dedication to community outreach efforts have been invaluable. I have a certificate for you here tonight, Nick, from the town board, which I would be proud to read. Can you see it? Here it is. I have it right in my hand. And I just want you to know, it is a virtual certificate. I'll try to hand it to you. But if that doesn't work, I have plan B. In recognition of being named a semi-finalist in the 2021 National Merit Scholarship Program, this certificate is awarded to Nicholas Chukuru, who's been chosen among 16,000 from over 1.5 million nationwide applicants. Nick's achievements are not limited to an academic sphere where the high school senior earns high marks and shines as an exemplary science research student. He is also an integral part of local environmental groups. Nick's work with the Town of Ossining's Environmental Action Committee has shown him to be a dedicated advocate for the world, both locally and globally. His passion for the environment, deep understanding of green issues, and concentration on outreach has made him an integral part of the community. His questionnaires have become a staple at events such as the annual Ossining Village Fair, educating Ossining residents and visitors with his energy, intelligence, dedication, and stewardship. Congratulations, Nick, from our entire town board. And I can't, are your parents there with you by any chance? Sherla, Day, any chance you guys can help me out at all?
Yes, they just brought me.
Okay. We secretly got a copy to Nick, to Nick's parents so that they could give it to him in person. And proud parents standing right behind, also very active community members. And we are so grateful that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, that Nick has been a great steward of our environment and our community. And we wish you the very best of luck as you go into your, I think you're in your senior year right now, right? and figure out what your next steps might be. We know it's a crazy time right now, but we wanted to just say congratulations. I'm just going to give Mitzi an opportunity if she wants to say anything, because Mitzi Elks is the chair of our EAC, and I know this was coming unexpected, but I know that you helped us with telling us some of the great things to include in that certificate. Maybe if you want to add anything else, I'll open it up to you.
Dana. Nick, you have been with the EAC since 7th grade and have come to 99% of the meetings. You have been an incredible contributor. Your sister preceded you, also starting in 7th grade, I believe. The parents can, confirm that. So I just wanted to point out, Nick, as you go forward in life, I thought of one thing. Dana, I did not know I was going to speak, but one thing, it took a village to even get us here, because it started with us as a committee, we worked together, and just something to take forward is that it started with Erin and David sending us links to your incredible achievement, and then Donna recommending, why don't I reach out to Dana? And then Dana taking it in full thrust, the way you always do, Dana, and just on this environmental level, it takes a village. And always remember, we work together and we really make things happen. And you have just come so far, and we're just so proud of you, all of us.
Yay. Nick,
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much. I couldn't have done it without the amazing support of the community. Every single one of you have been great mentors to me as I've come up through the program. As Mitzi said, I've been doing this for a long time. I mean, she knows I've been pretty quiet at all the meetings since I was younger, but I'm beginning to kind of get to, make some bigger contributions. And yeah, I couldn't have done it without you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nick. And it's so great to see all the faces of the EAC board here this evening. And we're very grateful for all of your volunteerism to our entire board, as well as our liaisons. And it's really just wonderful to see everybody here this evening, to recognize Nick. And that, Nick, I'm sure that, you have to know that we were all working very hard to keep this a surprise. So we're grateful that you didn't have some other thing to do this evening online, and were able to join us. So congratulations again, and feel free to stay on for the next part of the for our meeting, which is and I forgot to say this because this is the big part. Maybe I did say this, but we're extremely proud to call you part of Team Town. So I just wanted to mention that. Tonight, our next up on our agenda, we have a public hearing on our local law to amend Chapter 200 of the Town Code, zoning to create beekeeping regulations in the town of Ossining. Also something that may be of interest to our EAC. So we are going to open that public hearing up now for public comment. And once again, congratulations to Nick, and thanks to the EAC for being such good shepherds of one of our students. So anybody, okay, sorry, I didn't really give a very good, we're opening up our public hearing on the local law to establish beekeeping regulations in the town of Ossining. Before I do open it up for public comment, Council Adana, do you have anything you would like to mention? Or also we have our planner from Nelson Pope Voorhees, Valerie Monastra, here with us this evening. And Valerie, if either Valerie or Christy wanted to add anything before we open it up to the public.
Well, I'll let Valerie, if she has anything to say about the substance. She put a lot of work into putting this local law together, and we appreciate all of that because it got us to a point where we could start having these hearings. It came to the board's attention, I guess, a couple of months ago that there were no regulations that allowed or regulated beekeeping within the town, and the town board discussed it at a work session, I believe in July, and decided that it would be beneficial to consider legislation that would allow beekeeping, but with appropriate regulations and restrictions to ensure that it was done in a safe and appropriate manner. So we're opening the public hearing tonight, And I believe based upon the tentative plan is that based upon the comments that the board may receive tonight, it'll be on for a work session at, I believe, your first work session in October 6th. And then we'll continue the public hearing after tonight to your next legislative session on October 13th, and then take it from there in terms of where we are. We also submitted this to the county planning department for their input and comments, and we are awaiting their feedback also.
Valerie, did you have anything else you wanted to say about this?
Just to, I'll quickly summarize the beekeeping legislation, as Christy mentioned, will create a permitting process for it. The legislation itself identifies specifics dealing with lot size, the number of apiaries that could be permitted on site, as well as specific regulations requiring water sources, food sources, as well as certain barrier restrictions. So we looked at numerous municipalities that have undertaken this beekeeping legislation and have contacted a few just to see how the process is moving. And so I think we've included to say what we felt was the best of all the various pieces of legislation that are out there amongst the various communities.
And I just wanted to add that, obviously we looked to our neighbors, the Village of Ossining, and they had included a lot of specifics in the permit itself. I think we moved a number of those specifics into actually into the local law. And then we did get a lot of feedback from Donna Sharrett from our planning board, who's on this evening, and also she's our liaison to the EAC. And, she did specifically discuss that honeybees are considered invasive pollinators, and we want to make sure that they don't outcompete the naturally occurring, I don't think that's the word for other pollinators, but the native pollinators, right? That's the word. We want to make sure that they don't outcompete native pollinators. So we need to make sure that there's plenty of food and water for everybody, which includes, of course, types of plants and water sources that encourage other pollinators as well to be able to continue to survive. So with that, I would like to open up this public hearing for, I'm sorry, I usually ask the board. Does the board have anything to add, any of my colleagues on the board? And it looks like our Councilman Feldman. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Donna for all of the hard work, and Valerie for working so hard together to make sure it's common sense legislation that really works for all of our native pollinators as well as our beekeeping enthusiasts. So I'm just wanting to say thank you for all the extra work that was put in.
And our honey lovers and other people who are looking for pollinators to help their gardens grow. Okay, so with that, anybody else who would like, anybody from the public, just please introduce yourself with your name and where you live. And then you have 4 minutes, I think, for our public hearing. And, again, if it's for whatever reason, there's no time constraints and you need to come back around after your 4 minutes and everybody else has had a chance, then we will do so. Okay, is there anybody, if you could raise your virtual hand, or if you're on a telephone, you can also press, I think, *6, is that correct? *9.
But I don't think there's anyone, I don't see anyone on.
Okay, so there's nobody just on the phone. So if you want to just raise your virtual hand and we'll recognize you and unmute you.
Okay, Donna, if you want to go ahead, you are the only one with your hand raised.
All right. So first of all, I don't know that they're technically invasive. They're non-native.
Non-native.
So it seems so hostile to call them invasive. The poor little guys and girls.
Okay.
So thank you so much for doing this. I think it's really great that you're putting all the work into this and trying to balance. Introducing a species that's not native to our ecosystem always has an impact. So I think this legislation is looking to lessen that impact, which is really great. There are over 200 native bee species to our area, and then hundreds of other pollinators. That's not the only pollinators. So I had sent some information, and I wasn't going to go over all of that. Like I thought that, but I can give you a little bit of it. the legislation had said that it should be native plants that people plant, and I think that I think it just should be non-invasive plants, because if people have, you know, some kind of non-native hydrangea that supports bees, they should be given credit for that. You know, like they don't, that counts, you know, or vegetable gardens, you know, like there's a lot of things that aren't native that honeybees will like. I think that might make it easier for people. I did have some concerns, and mainly the fact that we don't live in Ulster County or Orange County, where there's a lot of agricultural land and a lot of open spaces. This is, you know, we're talking about bringing beehives into neighborhoods, and most of the properties are rather small, relatively speaking, like, you know, as compared to like Stone Barns that has enough space for all kinds of bees everywhere. So I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think it would be better to have a maximum of 2 hives rather than 4. I have properties around me that are over 40,000 square feet, and like the idea of having, each hive has 10,000 bees. The idea of having 40,000 bees like on, you know, one neighbor and then 20 on another neighbor, it gets kind of overwhelming. So I would like that to be considered. I also am, I did put a question out to a scientist at Xerces Society, and I'm not really sure that a vegetative barrier works for containing as a fly over. I think it should be a solid barrier, but that's probably what other legislation says, but I just don't see how bees wouldn't be going through vegetation. And then also on 8B on your proposed legislation, where it's talking about nuisance, I find that it says it wouldn't be a nuisance if the behavior of the bees was necessary to their routine foraging for pollen. It should not constitute per se nuisance behavior. You know, you're talking about possibly 20,000 bees or more, depending on what you vote for, and that could be, those hives could be 25 feet from my property. If I had, you know, 20 to 40,000 bees all over my plants and my property, even if they were just foraging, I do think that would be a nuisance. So I think that you should have some way to allow a resident to have some way to be able to, if they're having all these bees on their property and it's an overwhelming amount, even if they're just on the flowers foraging, I think that residents should have some recourse in taking back control of their property from so many bees. And then I think that's pretty much it. Also, I had spoken to Valerie about this, and she said that she reached out to other communities, if I'm remembering this correctly, that it wasn't an issue, but I still would like to say it. I am concerned that there's going to be an unlimited amount of permits. So, you know, in my neighborhood, there's like 3 or 4 people that have pollinator gardens in the whole, you know, Morningside Drive and Morningside Court and Shaft 4. And if we get a lot of bees, I'm just worried that there's not like going to be some kind of inventory as to how many beehives are in all the different neighborhoods. I don't know how you would do that, but I just wanted to put it out there. So that's pretty much it, in addition to all the stuff that I sent.
Oops. Okay, thank you. And is there anybody else who would like to be recognized or comment on this legislation, this proposed legislation? Mitzi.
Just a question, Donna, to speak to this last concern. Is there a registration? I didn't hear whether there's a registration method, you know, like, is there a process where?
There's yes, you have to actually obtain a permit. That's how you have to go. So we would have to, you know, there's a lot of requirements to be, you know, you have to be educated. You have to show that you have a certification. Like there's a number of requirements. You can't just say, hey, I want to go send away for some bees.
So wouldn't that address being able to have some kind of data metrics on how many
Yes.
people have hives and what type of,
It
just
would, I think, yes, but I'm not going to put words into Donna's mouth, but I think what she's trying to say is that it's within the legislation itself, you could theoretically say, well, there could be a limit to, have so many permits in a neighborhood, for example, and limit, just sort of have a cap for, okay, Morningside Drive, you can have 3 permits maximum, and because that is going to allow, whatever, 60,000 or bees in that neighborhood, theoretically. So, I think that's what she's getting at. Okay, and she's shaking her head in the yes direction. So I'm going to say that is, in fact, what she meant. But yes, we would know where they are. There's no doubt. We would have that information. We're not exactly sure yet. I don't think we decided if it was going to go through the clerk's office or if it was going to go through the building department, but either way, wherever that lands, we would have that information on hand.
Okay.
Are there other comments from this public hearing or questions that anybody wants addressed in the, as we think about the legislation? I think we have another opportunity that we're going to make, excuse me, speaking about this in a work session, I want to say October 6th. So, we'll have an opportunity to continue to talk about some of these issues that were raised. So if anybody has any other issues, if there's any beekeepers on this call, I'm not going to say there are or there aren't, but if there are any and anybody has any comments.
The town board will also be submitting written comments.
Okay. The town board will be submitting written comments?
I'm sorry, receiving.
Okay. The town board will also be receiving written comments, not from ourselves. No. Anybody wants to say anything about keeping, Mr. Gonzalez, are you unmuted? No, you're not. I just thought you wanted to say something. No. Okay. Our assessor, Fernando Gonzalez, happens to be on with us tonight, and he is in fact a beekeeper up in the Adirondacks. This is his secret life, the secret life of bees in the Adirondacks. You want to can we unmute him for a second, Victoria?
Good evening. Thank you. I'm very happy that the town is taking the initiative to allow beekeeping in the unincorporated area of the town. I've been a beekeeper for about 6 years, of course. Where I have it is in the Catskills.
Oh, Catskills.
The southwestern part of Albany County. And I don't have the suburban issues that, of course, you have to deal with. But I think it's a great idea. Bees are not as aggressive as people think they are. The honeybee that we're talking about is very docile. It's not like the other bees that people run away from, such as the ones that come around the barbecues and things like that. But one word of caution, of course, if you're the only one that has flowers in the garden during a certain season, the bees communicate that very well to each other, and they will be congregating in that area. So if you are the only one that has a certain tree, for example, like a tupelo or honey locust, and bees love that flower or that nectar, they will be congregating in that area. So they come and go. They're very independent. But they're mostly not noticeable. Once the temperature reaches 50 degrees or below, they will not be around. They will be active during the warmer weather and, of course, in the spring. Typically, the bee population is at maximum during the summer. So if a colony has a very good queen that is laying lots of eggs, an average of 1,500 to 2,000 a day, in the middle of the summer, a beehive could have 50, 60,000 bees. And they will be coming and going very diligently, bringing nectar to the hive, and they will not be noticeable. Typically, the complaints I hear is people with pools, and bees do like water, and sometimes they may go to a pool to get a drink of water quickly, and of course, and if there is swimmers in the area, they may that may cause a little trouble, but that's usually not hardly noticeable. So again, thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I'm very, very happy that the town is taking that initiative. And if I can help anybody with any questions, I'll be happy to.
Thank you very
Specific
much.
to bees.
Not to your assessments. Okay, just joking. Okay, wonderful. So one more time, I'm just going to give a chance to anybody from the public, or if there are any other additional comments during our public hearing.
Can I just say one thing? I think the barbecue, that's probably wasps. Bees get the bad rap.
Yes.
Probably
Yes.
wasps.
Okay,
So.
this is true. Wasps or
Hornets,
yellow jackets.
hornets or wasp. Yes.
Yeah.
Aren't yellow jackets bees though?
Yeah, yellow jackets is the one that I'm referring to, who typically like to go into the soda cans, etc.
Yeah, they're technically wasps.
They're technically wasp.
I
Okay,
think so.
Mr. Wiltshire, would you like to be recognized?
Yes, what I'd like to know is using Morningside Drive, how many hives do you think, the distance between one hive to the next hive before you got too many?
Well, I would hope I didn't have hives on both sides of my property, because I have a lot of flowers. So what Mr. Gonzalez says, it really does speak to my property, and I have a lot of honeybees on those flowers right now. So somebody's honeybees are really enjoying my flowers a lot. So I do see them. They are cute, that's for sure. But I worry about sometimes there's more than half the insects that are on the flowers are honeybees. So I worry that too many more would be coming. I don't know how many would be the right number in a neighborhood. I just would hope that there'd be some way to, if it was getting to be a problem, that there would be a way, like a recourse for residents, just the same as the number of, if it was getting too overwhelming in your property.
Okay.
Okay, we will consider
I
that.
wanted to point out that bees travel up to 3 miles to forage for food. So they do get around. Of course, they will concentrate on areas where there is lots of flowers and not a lot of disturbance. So,
I mean, I think the best recourse for Donna is just to become a beekeeper yourself, so that you could at least have all the delicious honey from the flowers that you are growing.
Well, technically, I am a beekeeper. I have now I think it's like 150 different species. My property's in a study, as I've probably mentioned to you,
Yes.
and I've with Cornell, and for the New York State DOT, it's a study for them, and I have over 150 different species of pollinators. So
Incredible.
I do feel I am a beekeeper, just not a honey beekeeper. But it would be great to get some of the honey from some
That's
of
what I'm
the.
saying.
I would, but maybe somebody would give me some.
Right. So anybody who has bees that are flying over to Donna's flowers, if you could please think about providing her with some of your honey. That would be very much appreciated. Fernando, you're off the list because your apiary is in the Catskills, so more than 3 miles. Okay, so with that, I think I have no more comments unless anybody has a secret hand raised that I haven't seen. Seen none. Councilwoman Feldman, you looked like you were reaching for your unmute. No? Okay. Any of my other council members? Seeing head shaking and not shaking in that yes direction. I will then ask if I can have a motion to adjourn this public hearing until October 13th.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, wonderful. And as mentioned, we will have a continuing discussion of this at our work session also on October 6th. So I'm going to get into my announcements now, and that is, I'm going to just start with that we are just whipping through September. And as we get closer to the end than the beginning, you can imagine that there are lots of important events taking place, most of them virtually, of course. Yesterday, however, was the first day of the hybrid in-school/virtual classes in the Ossining School District, which means slow down, Ossining and Briarcliff, because we have kids out on the streets and we want to make sure that everybody is safe. Also this week, the Ossining School District is hosting virtual back to school nights for parents. We all know this year looks very, very different for parents, students, and teachers in our school districts. So back to school nights are a great way to get a sense of what the school year is shaping up to look like and to get a snapshot of how your children and your teachers are doing, as well as what the plans are for the near and long-term future. Parents should check the school websites for Zoom details and other information. Also good for our EAC to know, this week in New York State, it's Go Car Free for Climate Week, and Friday is Car Free Day for the Hudson Valley. It's a day to reduce your time behind the wheel. I know that because of COVID-19, many of us have already made some substantial changes to how we travel, especially for work. The good news is now you can win prizes for those changes. Take the pledge to go car free or car light at 511 New York, that's 511ny.rideshare.org, and hopefully we'll get lots of people to sign up. And then if you do take the pledge to go car free this Friday, you can be entered in to win gift cards and other goodies. Last year, about 45 people in Ossining took the pledge, so you can be sure your chances of winning are pretty good. Plus, this effort is good for the environment, and it reminds us to be aware of our dependence on cars and how we can avoid using them as much. Please visit our website or social media pages to take the pledge and respond to a survey from Green Ossining so we can best plan for 2021 and hopefully celebrate together as a community by then. Although working remotely is certainly a great way to go car free. So we'll keep trying to do that to the best of our ability. And it's great to have so many people again attending our meetings, which we know we wouldn't necessarily have, and everybody would have to take a car if we were all doing this in person. So take the pledge. Friday is also the last day to apply for our seasonal laborer position to help the Highway Department with their annual leaf collection. You can find the application details on our website, townofossining.com, and on Facebook, along with a quick link to the application itself. If you would prefer a hard copy of application, that's old-fashioned, and you have to take a car, so hopefully not. Stop by the clerk's office in the municipal building. I mean, you can take a bicycle too, and you can also walk at 16 Croton Avenue in Ossining to pick up a copy. Please be aware that the building has limited office hours due to health guidelines. It's open from Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Applications can be submitted in person at the clerk's office or emailed to Victoria Caffarelli at vcaffarelli@townofossining.com. The Town of Ossining is an equal opportunity employer. Next Monday is Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish religion. The holiday is considered very solemn and reflective as Jews around the world fast and pray. I know some people who are not Jewish are unsure how to wish someone a happy holiday. Since the day is observed instead of celebrated, the sentiment is certainly appreciated, especially since this has been a difficult year and Rosh Hashanah started just 8 days earlier. So if you want, you can wish someone an easy fast or Shana Tova, which means Happy New Year. So I'm going to wish everybody a Shana Tova from me to you, to all my Jewish friends, as well as an easy fast. Next week is already the end of September, which is hard to believe. We've been receiving some questions about leaf collection since we all associate September with falling leaves. The Town Highway Department will begin leaf collection around the third week of October, and it will continue into December. Of course, if you want to love them and leaf them, you can mulch your leaves in place, and I know our EAC is definitely in favor of that. Residents can rake their leaves to the curb, though please do not let them fall into the street. You can place them in paper bags if you would like, but not in plastic. This applies to all unincorporated town residents, except those on state roads like Routes 133 and 134. Unfortunately, the state has not yet caught up with us on this front, and residents on state roads still must put their leaves in plastic. Ugh. Leaf collection continues to be managed by our wonderful highway department. Stay tuned for more information as leaves start to pile up. The 30th of September is the last day to pay your first half school taxes. So that's true for both Briarcliff and Ossining school districts. As yet another reminder, your school tax bills are available for payment online through a secure portal on the town's website. You can pay by mail, or you can drop off your envelope with a stamp at the dedicated tax office mail slot at the Ossining post office. You can also pay in person with exact change only at the municipal building at 16 Croton Avenue in Ossining. And as I just mentioned, The building is open to the public only from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., Monday through Friday. If you have any questions about your billing, you can speak to the tax office on the phone by calling 914-762-8790, and you're likely to receive our very friendly and helpful tax receiver, Holly Perlowitz, or a member of her staff. You can send an email to taxreceiver@townofaustining.com if you want to reach her by email. If you want to complete your transaction online, you can go through the town's website Express Pay service, which is truly the best and fastest and most secure way to pay. Many people want to use the online bill pay option available through their bank, but you have to know that it doesn't come directly to us online. The bank will debit your account immediately, but then they mail a check to the tax receiver, and those do not always get to us for at least usually a week after you go online to pay, and the bank envelopes are not postmarked. So we can only mark your bill as paid once the check has been received and processed by our office. So please make sure that you, by our tax office. So please make sure that you leave plenty of time if you do intend to use your own bank's bill pay service. As I near the end of my announcements, yes, I know you are all excited. There is another date that I know is on a lot of people's minds, and that is Election Day, which is November 3rd. Make your voting plan now. Guess what? Today is National Voter Registration Day. So if you aren't already registered to vote, today, of course, would be the day to do so. You must be registered by October 9th to participate in this year's general election. If you received an application for an absentee ballot, you have to fill it out and send it back in ASAP. The Westchester Board of Elections is working hard to get absentee ballots to those who request them, but no need to wait until the last minute. If you want to vote in person, you will have the option to do so during the early voting period, which starts on October 24th here in Westchester. As I've mentioned before, this option allows you to vote in any of 17 early polling places across the county. You may vote in whichever one is most convenient for you. They can actually print out your local ballot at each of these sites. To find out where they are, go to the Westchester County Board of Elections website at citizenparticipation.westchestergov.com. In Ossining, our early polling site is the Joseph G. Caputo Community Center at 95 Broadway. Hours vary, so do check the Board of Elections website if you plan to avail yourself of that early voting option. Of course, if you want to vote in person on Election Day, you certainly can. Keep an eye on your mailbox for a postcard with your 2020 polling site. This card may tell you there was a change to your polling place this year. The postcard not only lists your polling place, but will also contain a QR code specifically for you, which can speed up the check-in process on Election Day if you bring that postcard with you. Make your voting plan today, including how you'll get to your polling place, whether you will have time to wait online, if there is one, and whether you have researched all the candidates on your ballot. This isn't just a presidential election, so the League of Women Voters puts a very helpful voting guide out, and you can find that at lwvw.org. And finally, I have my very last plug, unless the courts extend the date, for the 2020 U.S. Census. The end of September means the 2020 census is wrapping up. Currently, September 30th is set as the final date to respond. Ossining currently has, ding, 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 69% self-response rate. We have only 8 days left to get those numbers up. It'd be great if the time to respond does get extended, which it might by the courts, but we cannot depend on that. Ossining lost $2,500 per person per year since 2010 for everybody who did not complete the last census. We don't want to leave that money on the table going forward, so that would be for another 10 years. Please help us get the word out during these last few days. Share posts about the importance of the census, call friends, or if you speak to them, just ask them if they've responded yet to the census. Remind them how important it is. It is a count of all residents, regardless of immigration status, age, or race. It takes only 10 minutes to complete. It's in like 70 different languages, so if you haven't filled it out yet, please do so. We are in the home stretch here, so do whatever you can to make sure Ossining is accurately counted this year. And that really was it for my announcements. Do any of my board colleagues have any of their own? And seeing none, I am going to just skip to liaison reports. which is a little bit out of order because I wanted to talk a little bit about what we know is coming up. Councilwoman Shaw, our deputy supervisor, has many committee responsibilities, among other things, already. However, she has benevolently agreed to add another to her list of responsibilities as the town's representative to the Village of Austin's Police Reform and Reinvention Working Committee. As you may have seen in Mayor Garrity's announcement to the community earlier this week in the Village of Austin, in furtherance of Governor Cuomo's executive order regarding police reform, the village is forming a working committee to guide the reform and reinvention process of the Village of Austin police force. The town contracts with the Village of Austin for police services in the unincorporated town, so it is essential that the town have a seat at the table to contribute to this important conversation. Councilwoman Shaw, thank you for agreeing to represent the town in this effort, and I look forward to hearing updates from you as the process continues along. We've already been invited to be part of the interview process for the RFP respondents, and I appreciate also that I will fill in for you at meetings if you are not able to attend. And so that's going to be hopefully a very workable solution. And so with that, unless there are any comments, does anybody want to say anything about that before we move in? Are there any other liaison reports?
I did want to congratulate Bob Fritchie from the village on becoming the president of the Westchester County Volunteer Firemen's Association.
Very nice.
I think he became president, and you know, like he didn't have enough on his plate, but you know, just very proud that Ossining is always well represented at that level, and thankful for his service over the years and his continued active service as the president of the association. So,
congratulations. Thank you. Are there any other liaison reports? Okay, for my board members, and hearing none, we are going next to our departmental reports, I believe. We have 2 departmental reports tonight, starting with our assessor, Fernando Gonzalez. Fernando is fresh off of filing the final roll, and we look forward to hearing his update tonight. Mr. Gonzalez, once again, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Once again, I believe the last time I spoke to the town board was as we mailed out the preliminary assessment change notices, which of course caused a lot of turmoil as although we delayed it from the March date into April, it was in the midst of the initial pandemic onslaught, and of course it created a lot of bad sentiments, I would say. But we soldiered through. The tentative roll, as you know, was delayed until June 29th, and grievance day to July 21st, and we just filed the final 2020 roll on September 15 after the Board of Assessment Review deliberated and made changes to in response to the grievances applied for or submitted. But let me backtrack a little bit because we're going to be discussing that point later tonight. As you remember, when we started the 2020 reappraisal, which is a 5-year cycle where every 5 years we do a reappraisal. On the interim years, we do reassessments, but it's more of sales ratio analysis. On a 5-year cycle, we take a very hard look and deliberate approach to every property to make sure we update and we catch any missing details about the property. 2020 was the 5 years, and we did a reappraisal, and how we started that process was by comparing the footprints of all of our properties with the most recent flyover by the county pictometry or the county mapping services. And that generated over 300 properties that had a 10% variance, and we started by looking at those, determining what was wrong and what needed to be corrected. That is a very important factor to have available is pictometry that is up to date. The state recommends that a flyover is done every 2 years, and the county has been doing it. And we will be discussing, of course, that a little bit later, as the county is asking for a little help from the municipalities. But getting back to the 2020 roll, I don't know if you have available the documents that I submitted to you.
Yeah, do you want me to share it on the screen, Fernando?
Yes, please. First, the statistics.
Since 2020 roll grievance statistics?
Yes, please.
Okay. This is the correct one?
Yes, that is the correct one. Thank you. Basically, I keep track of the grievances, and this goes back to 2012, which is the first roll that I did when I started in Ossining. And you can see the history, grievances, and then every year, and the differences and the percentage of different. But just comparing 2016, which is the year of the reassessment that we did after 42 years, compared to this year, we had in 2016 we had 625 grievances submitted. This year we had 462. Considering that this was a reappraisal year where we basically reappraise every property and change the values, and considering the pandemic and the initial sentiment that the market was crashing and values were down, I think it was very good that we only had 462 grievances. We thought we were going to get more. That's about 4% of the parcels. Of course, that's only 3% more than last year in 2019, when we had 449. And if you look at by municipalities, it's important to see that Ossining had a decrease in grievances of 3%. And of course, the village of Briarcliff Manor had an increase in grievances of 14%. And the town outside a decrease in grievances by 2%. And I believe that the reason for that increase in grievances in Briarcliff Manor, of course, is because as you know, the high value residents, which are mostly in Briarcliff Manor, were or have been negatively affected by the new SALT state and local taxes law, where they limit the deduction to $10,000. So, you know, the sentiment and also those properties do get a lot of solicitations from companies and attorneys looking to get business from them to review their assessment. Of course, you know, this process will go through. Whoever is not happy with the changes that the Board of Assessment Review has instituted will have the opportunity to file a small claims with the courts. They have to do it by October 15, and commercial properties will have to do it also by October 15, and they file an Article 7 certiorari. So, so we will know, you know, after in November, what's the results of the small claims and certiorari filing for this year as compared to other years. Victoria, if we could go to the other reports, which is the numbers.
Okay.
The first page.
The final roll muni totals.
Yes, please.
Okay. Yes, there you go. Sorry.
Okay, great. So if we go to the first page, which is the town general totals, I'm very happy to report that this year, we probably for town general taxes purposes, we have an increase in taxable assessed value of about $212 million, which should do wonders to the town tax rate, or make it easier to maintain the town tax rate. And as you can see, this report shows it by property class on the upper part and by roll section. So you can see on the lower part, the roll section, the taxable, which is roll section 1, had an increase in assessed value of about 196 million. And special franchise had an increase of about 2,300,000, and utilities an increase of 11 million, almost $12 million. Most of that increase, I will point out, was that this year the state valuation unit valued for us as a reassessment community the water properties or the water assets from the village water department, and that those properties were undervalued, and we had an increase of about, I believe it was about $8 million in taxable assessed value from that. So overall, we have about a $212 million increase in taxable assessed value as compared to last year. Most of that is equity increases. Equity is increases in value due to the market. Some of it is due to physical increases, new construction. The larger projects that provided most of that physical increase was the club in Briarcliff, Parth Knolls, and of course the new memory care unit on North State Road, Artis. And of course, we always have several new homes being built and multiple permits for additions and decks, etc. The following pages then is a breakdown. If we go to the next page, is for the town outside. Swiss code 554289, and you can see for the town outside, the increase in taxable assessed value is about $43 million. The next page is the village of Ossining, which if you could move it over a little bit. There we go, that's better. So go down a little bit to the, okay, that page, that's the village of Ossining. We had an increase in taxable assessed value of about $55 million. And then the last page, I'm sorry, the $55 million is the village of Briarcliff Manor. And the last page is the village of Ossining, which had an increase in taxable assessed value of about $110 million. This year, the neighborhoods in the village center, the downtown area, saw a significant increase in assessed values, more than other years, and particularly the small multifamily, 2, 3, 4 family homes. As we look at what happened in 2020 for the roll, which the valuation date was July 1st, 2019, looking forward to 2021, in spite of the pandemic, the residential market has improved tremendously. All the diminishing sales that happened during the initial months of the pandemics were more than made over, and properties in Ossining are now selling sight unseen at more than asking price. So on the other hand, when we look at the commercial real estate, particularly the retail and office sector, the values are down. They are suffering from higher vacancies, and in many cases, of course, non-payment of rent, and of course, you know, their numbers are not looking good, and the demand for that type of real estate is diminishing. So fortunately, since we are a reassessment community, next year, we will be able to adjust the assessed value of those properties accordingly, according to the market. We will be able to lower the values for those commercial properties that have suffered loss in value. And of course, we will be doing an adjustment on the residential side by neighborhood. And of course, most neighborhoods are showing that they're selling for more than assessed value at this point. That is one of the advantages. In a situation like this, it's perfectly clear that communities that still rely on a state issue equalization rates that is applied to everybody equally is very unfortunate, because real estate does not move equally in value, you know, at the same rate down or up. So for next year, I will request again income and expense reports from the commercial sector, the commercial property owners, and hopefully we can adjust the value in line to their performance. And that's the way to capture the effect of this pandemic. Any questions on any of this I have presented so far?
I mean, I just want to thank you for the presentation so far. I'm sure that there is going to be a little bit more coming, but just to comment a little bit more about the, you know, the whole reassessment process. I do think that having a process in place that allows us to be responsive and not fall behind is also one process of equity, to make sure that those people who can't just, not only those people who can afford to hire lawyers and grieve their taxes, or even just to find these, some of these companies that, you know, say that if they work for you, that they'll just take a portion of whatever savings they help you realize, that, you know, we really do have a process in place for people to work with the assessor and work and look at the market and find, you know, if need be, get an appraisal of their property if they think that something's not correct, and make sure that their property assessment actually matches the market value. It makes the process, as you mentioned, much more transparent and much more, you know, over the long term. I think it puts us all into a better position. And I was hoping that you could talk a little bit, and I think you maybe, I don't know if you're planning to or not, about how it's helped us with the certiorari or, you know, grievance process in, you know, which sometimes takes years for the, for it to make its way through the courts, with tax certioraries for, you know, commercial properties. But when some of these do get through the courts, I think, you know, because we have annual reassessment and 5-year revaluation in place, it makes it much less likely that their assessments going back are going to be out of whack. So I don't know if you want to talk about that at all.
Oh, yeah, oh yes. Before I speak about that, I wanted to point out that as we delayed the filing of the tentative roll, we provided an additional 3 to 4 weeks for the residents to have informal meetings with Tyler remotely.
Right.
And also after that, up until we filed the tentative roll on June 29, the residents and commercial property owners, of course, had the opportunity to have discussions and informal meetings with my assistant, Al, and myself. Al handles the residentials. So I think that is the reason why the number of grievances on a reappraisal year were only 4%. It's usually more because we are always talking or taking the opportunity to discuss the value with the residents, to look at whatever proof they bring, and also in the case of residential, to analyze their financials in order to compare the assessed value to their actual performance of their rental properties. So we always have an open door policy, or rather an open communications now, so that we can always discuss the values. But as far as the effects as we move forward with reassessments every year, is that people are used to this, and they look for that change of assessment notices. Is part of their knowledge of what their property is worth, and it's easy to understand because they don't have to deal with an equalization rate. The assessed value is reflective of market value. And the impact has been, and I had done an analysis last year, that the number of certiorari for commercial properties have been diminishing, but also what has been diminishing is the settlements. When we, in other words, we are arguing about less taxable assessed value, and of course that translates into lower refunds. So the being able to update the values according to the market, of course, the refund for not only the town, the school, the villages is much less. And another effect is that we are able to spend less money in defending, in getting appraisals, or going to trial, or doing that kind of action, and more time putting the right value on the property. So it will continue to diminish. My goal is that to get to the point that whatever grievances or certs we have this year, if they could be settled before the next roll is filed, that would be ideal. In other words, no backlog through the courts. However, we are subject to the court schedule, and the courts has been in the last few months doing conferences remotely, which I have been participating with our attorney, Stephen Dewey, and we've been able to move ahead and settle quite a few cases, and many cases have been dismissed as well. So we're moving forward. Speaking of cases, we're still awaiting for the decision on the Sleepy Hollow Country Club. As you remember, we had a trial back last year in October. The judge, of course, because of the pandemic, has been delayed in issuing a decision because everything is done in the courthouse, and of course they were working remotely, or are still working remotely. But at the conference last week, they did mention they were working on it, and that we should expect it shortly. So we're waiting for that decision, and so is every municipality or attorney that has a golf course case.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, great. That's good. Did you have more of your report? You just asked.
The one last thing I wanted to point out was the last document there, Victoria, the pictometry. This is just an example of what the pictometry, which is the photography, the overhead photography. We get that data from the county. The county imagery, the last time this flyover was done was in 2018. They were planning to have a flyover done this coming year, but because of budget shortfall, the county is asking municipalities to contribute. Most municipalities have agreed to contribute. The county is, I believe the cost is about $179,000.
Total.
The county is budgeted $150,000 and is trying to get assistance from municipalities. It'll cost municipalities between 8 and 9 cents per parcel. And since we have 10,000 parcel, our share would be between $800 and $900. So I'm asking the town board to please consider adding this to my budget so that we can commit to the county and this necessary flyover can be continued. Is very important. This is more important for not only for assessment offices, but this data is also provided to law enforcement, planning, basically all of the branches of government, because this is the latest and the greatest flyover of information. So,
And obviously it's less expensive than if we had to do it ourselves.
yes, it would not be feasible to do it ourselves just for 10,000 parcels. No.
Okay. And are you saying for the budget, your budget this year or next year?
For next year.
Okay. I didn't know when
It
they
would
needed
be
it.
added to my 2021 budget.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Good thing we're having those budget conversations
Yes.
very soon. And we are in fact in budget season and those conversations have already started. So are there any questions from my board colleagues for our assessor?
You said our tax rate, because of all the added value, is going to go down. If
Wait, did he exactly say that? Exactly. Not sure. Sound like something. Exactly.
Let me clarify. If everything remained the same, the budget remained the same, and now we have additional taxable assessed value, so the pie is bigger, then everybody's share would be less. That's,
okay, right? Isn't that all right? I see. I know we put the new or the water treatment plant in there. If we decide, or if we decide as not to include that next time, is that going to hurt our budget or?
Well, realistically, no, because every year, assuming that the market continues to gain value, every year since the reassessment, I'm happy to report an increase in taxable assessed value, but always with a warning. Real estate is cyclical. There's going to be a time when real estate values are going to come down. But let's say the way it looks now for next year, because the valuation date for 2021 is July 1st, 2020, we are going to have additional taxable assessed value because increases in value due to the market. So 8 million or 10 million is a small portion of what the increases in taxable assessed value due to increase in equity are. So that
and just to clarify, it doesn't reduce the budget; it just reduces.
I understand. It was
okay. No, I just want to say it for the public. That's all. So right, it reduces people's piece of the pie.
Yes.
Hopefully, we'll get more deeply into an analysis of utility properties at some point in the not too distant future and how the impact is on taxpayers versus ratepayers. So that'll be in the not too distant future.
Okay, and the any impact to our business properties will probably be seen in the 2022 assessments as opposed to the 2020 or the 2023 assessments as opposed to the 2022s, right?
On the 2021 assessment, which will impact the 2022 tax bills.
Okay, so we'll see. So that'll be from this July.
That would be.
But anything going forward from businesses, I'm actually thinking more about apartments who are having trouble, then that'll be reflected in the following year.
Some will be reflected this year, but what I've seen and what I have communicated with apartment owners, the impact has not been as terrible as we thought. Many tenants are paying rent.
Oh, good.
And the few that are not paying rent, based on the conversation I have with some of the landlords, it's not as bad as we thought it was going to be.
And there have been some programs to help renters pay rent also, and they continue to be more of those programs. And also there's programs for landlords. And I actually think there's some right now that are being offered through the county that they are, if they haven't already announced, that they're going to be announcing very soon.
Yes. So some of the big landlords that I have talked to, the impact has not been that great. And it's not all, as you indicated, there's still hope since some of the tenants will be getting help. The ones that are in arrears will be getting help. from various agencies. So that's the importance of requesting and getting their income and expense statements early in the year, early in January. We'll start doing that so that we can analyze the data and adjust the values accordingly.
All right. Thank you. Good to hear.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Shaw, do you have any more information about if there's assistance for renters? I know that sometimes that comes through your office at IFCA.
There was a program that ended a couple of weeks ago. I can't think of anything that's running right now, but there were a few things that ended a couple of weeks ago.
Okay. I thought the county just announced something new.
They just announced a grant.
Yes.
And it's through, it's not like specific to the person, it's kind of through the landlord.
Okay, there's some through the landlord, and then I thought that there were some maybe coming like through Bridge Fund. I think maybe got some money.
Bridge Fund is doing something as well, yes. Okay. I'm not sure the date on that though. That's that's one of the ones. I'm not sure if the date is still going.
Got it. Okay. Thanks. And are there any other questions for Fernando? Okay, and hearing none. Next up, I would like to introduce our Superintendent of Recreation and Parks, Bill Garrison, who's here to give his departmental report.
Thank you. Good evening, Town Board. So recreation has been very unusual this summer, to say the least. As you know, we did not run a typical summer day camp. That was probably our biggest change this summer. So at the kind of the last second, we scrambled to come up with programs to offer the public and to keep them outdoors in our parks. And we came up with a program called Summer Playground, which was like a summer camp, but didn't meet all the necessary stipulations that we need to follow for a camp. So we were able to not have to go through the Department of Health. The program ran 4 days a week, every other week. And on those off weeks, we ran a variety of different programs in different parks. We had tennis going on at Nelson Park. We had kayaking and paddleboarding going on at Lewis Angle. So we had quite a few things going on, and we had a lot of kids that participated in the program. Not nearly as many as 500 that come to our day camp, but we had close to about 80 kids that participated in the programs throughout the summer. Our programs, we suspended all programs in March 16th, and we started up again with our pool program, doing our lap swimming in July. And with all of our programs, all the recreation and sports programs, we're following New York State Department of Health guidelines. Typically, basically most of these guidelines have to do with health screening, temperature checks, people wearing masks, social distancing, and limited 50% capacity. So for all of our programs that have been going on, they're by reservation only or by registration only, meaning if you're registered for a program, you can come in to the community center and take part in that program. Or if you want to participate in a program like lap swimming or pickleball or shoot around basketball in the gym, you have to make a reservation and come in during those scheduled times. This has been a learning experience for us each and every day. As soon as you limit the capacity of anything, the demand goes up. And for example, for our lap swimming, we just frankly didn't have enough space to accommodate all the desire of people wanting to come in and lap swim. We increased the number of opportunities for people, and still that was not enough. We thought of increasing the lanes to 2 people per lap for lap swimming, and we received a lot of pushback from the lap swimmer members who felt that that wasn't a safe thing to do. So we kept the lap swimming at 1 person per lane, and we are now, in the fall program, we've offered some evening programs once again and some opportunities for swimming to occur, as well as on Saturday. For our fall program with the community center, we are now open 7 days a week, and also working in the evenings as well. We are offering an after-school program. as Supervisor Levenberg said earlier, the schools just went today with their hybrid opening. So we don't have a lot of kids in our after-school program, but we are getting a lot of calls. Typically, we'd have 120 kids in our after-school program. We have pulled that back so that we could only take 45, but right now we only have about 15 kids in that after-school program on any given day. So we'll see. We've been getting lots of calls about people interested in doing that. And I think now that school is up and going on the certain days for families, we will start to see more of an influx of people. I think the biggest thing that we're dealing with is obviously our revenue is taking a hit. Recreation by nature is social and it is done in group settings. And when COVID restrictions prohibit those two things, it makes it really difficult to run recreation programs. All of our special events have been canceled, and typically we'd be gearing up now for our Fall Family Fun Day, our Halloween on Main event, as well as our Breakfast with Santa. And those would be our three big things that we'd be having in the next few months. So those have all been postponed, and we are monitoring each and every day the changes that occur with the COVID responses, and we're also dealing with the youth sports organizations as they're up and going. Soccer and flag football. Actually, flag football started today in Ossining, and soccer, ASO soccer is looking to start in a few days as well. And we're going over with them, with the people in those organizations, to make sure that they have a safety plan, that we get that safety plan before we issue any permits for their use of the parks and the fields. And we are assuring that with those organizers of those youth sports organizations that they are following their safety plans. So this is something that I never thought I'd be dealing with in my time. I'm sure everyone has said that in their own professions as well. But being in recreation, as I said, when it's social and group settings, and then trying to figure out how we can do this, it's been very challenging. My recreation team has been great. We've come up with a lot of great ideas. We are problem shooting each and every day and solving those problems. One thing that's new in the community center, you can see behind me here, is we have got a new spray pad. It's in the pool area. That was one of the projects that we got done this year, a few weeks ago. So that's something that's when we have open swim that families can come down to, and they can take part in the open swim, and as well as the spray pad is open.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Just got one more thing. We do have, with our fall program is open for registration right now. We do have a few outdoor activities going on. We have a pound exercise class that's going on at Lewis Angle Park. We have a walking club that's going on at Nelson Park. Pickleball is indoors right now, and lap swimming. We're also starting some basketball clinics and soccer clinics for youth. And the other thing that we have available for people is a Wi-Fi hotspot. And that's available Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And that's in the community center. So if anyone needs Wi-Fi to do schoolwork, or need access to the Wi-Fi to do work from home, they could come to the community center. It's free of charge. We do ask people just to go online and sign up. Everyone who comes in the community center is health screened, temperature checks, and we keep track of that for contact tracing as well. And that is my report.
Awesome. I had a couple quick questions, which is, I thought that football still was not permitted, and I thought that basketball was still not permitted. I know that certain activities in basketball are, but I didn't know clinics and flag football would fall under those categories. So maybe you could just elaborate.
Sure. So the state has identified sports into low risk, moderate risk, and high risk. And you're correct, basketball and football fall into that high risk area category. But what they do allow is for skill-based training in those areas. So there can't be contact, but you could have individualized skill training. So doing, like, for example, basketball, for what we're doing is just kind of shooting drills, dribbling drills. Each participant has their own ball. They social distance. When they can't social distance, they have to wear a mask. And flag football is actually falls in, because it's not contact, falls into the moderate risk, same as soccer, which they're allowed to play games. But they are primarily, Austin Little League football is not going to be playing games. They're going to be doing more skill-based stuff as well.
Is that going to be happening at Cedar Lane at the field there or not?
Yeah, Cedar Lane and
Okay.
Gerlach.
Okay, I
Cedar
wasn't
Lane
sure.
for a little bit more, because now it's getting dark so early, so they'll move over to Gerlach for the lights.
Got it. Okay. Okay, and then the only other thing I just want to mention is, because our senior program has been obviously operates out of the recreation or the community center, that, I know that you are in regular contact with Kathy Asar, our director, and our people who are over there, and if there's anything new for seniors that seniors should know about as far as programming is concerned that's safe, let us know about that as well. Obviously, we always want to share that out, and I know that you do talk to Kathy pretty regularly. We did have an opportunity to think about, and I think we talked about this a little bit already at one of our previous meetings, if we were going to need to look for other space to allow more space for the recreation programs, if we were going to need to look for more space for our senior programs. We did have an opportunity to look around a little bit and see where we might have some places to align programmatically with other organizations and other properties. So, we do have some potential opportunities available if in fact it comes to the fact that you need more space to run the programs that you have to run. So you'll keep us posted about that as well.
Yeah. So we do have, just you reminded me, we do have the senior water aerobics that we started this week. So
good.
That is, so that's an opportunity for seniors. And again, with that, as we're modifying everything, we are, instead of doing one class with 30 people in there, we are doing 2 classes with 15 people.
Right.
So we can still accommodate the same numbers that people will be coming.
That's great. And I know that that the our senior nutrition program did start inviting some of our seniors in just for socialization purposes only, no eating, and they're giving them their meals to take home with them. So I think they have about somewhere between, 10 and 20 people maybe at a time versus the usual 60 that we used to have.
Right.
So that's another thing that's happening at the rec center, and hopefully another opportunity for you to offer whatever services you can or programs you can to our senior population for future programs. Okay, great. So are there other questions? I know you're going to be joining us for some of our budget conversations coming up, which we appreciate. And are there any other questions for Mr. Garrison from the board?
Where are we with the signs for the docks and the ramp passes?
So for the sign for the dock, we're working on getting the right language. I should have that probably within a week or two get completed. So they'll put that out so everybody can review that before we have the sign made. The ramp passes, I think we have to kind of come up with a better system. So we probably need to brainstorm on that a little bit more, like how people can get those passes during the weekends when the community center is closed. We were talking about possibly doing like a QR code where somebody would be able to get it and then show it on their phone, but that doesn't help them put that on a trailer. So I don't know how we can do that.
Are you able to, are you currently able to get them at the clerk's office?
No, we don't have, yes, we do. We did give them boat passes, so they do have them at the clerk's office.
Okay, my problem is there was never a flyer or anything that we could post down there to let everybody know. So I think we missed some opportunity this year.
Well, I think you're probably right. We did. I think I can give you a report that will show you the amount of boat ramp that we do sell. It's very low. It's very minimal.
That's a great idea, though. I think Councilwoman Feldman is, you know, if we can get a flyer that we can put up, even in that kiosk right there, that would be really helpful. And then people would know where to go, because right now I don't think they do. Or if it could just include right on the sign at the ramp what it is that you have to do to get a pass. And so I think that was, you know, what we had talked about earlier in the season, to try to get that signage up to date and giving some direction to people as to where to go to get the pass. And hopefully that will help us either to direct them to the clerk's office if they want to go someplace in person, or if, you know, if it's something that they can actually do through Community Pass. I don't know if that's a way that you can get a permit and then have it with you on your phone or something like that, versus, you know, or you can print it out at home and put it on your boat.
Or even through the mail. I mean, you know, a lot of people do the season.
Right.
Right. Well, we do that through Community Pass. It's up on Community Pass, and then we do mail out the permit sticker.
Okay, that's just not been translated to any of the people who are using the ramp. So we need to work on that.
Okay. Do you have an idea of who is using it? Is it residents using it or non-residents?
Both. There's a huge amount of jet skis that launch every weekend and during the weekdays that are perfectly willing to get a pass, but the boat club isn't doing, you know, taking cash and doing communication right now. And I've had no flyer or anything I could show them on how they can actually do that, even though we've been asking. So they're like, well, let us know and we'll get the pass as soon as we can. And the information just never got there. So they're still, but they're probably going to stop soon. It's getting colder in the water, but
right.
You know, we had a huge missed opportunity of, you know, about 10 to 12 individuals a weekend, you know, a day during the weekend going out, if not more. So I think we need to work on that.
Okay.
Thank you for the reminder, and we will make sure that we do that. And I'm sure that there were quite a few missed opportunities this season.
Right. I mean, because
we're
of
head
COVID,
above water.
everything's, yeah.
Yeah.
And I would love to be able to weigh in on the signage. There's a lot of signage that is needed there.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Any other questions for Bill? And hearing none, thanks very much for your update, and we look forward to seeing you again in a not too distant future.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so with that, we will go into public comment on agenda items only. So anything that is on our agenda for this evening, if you have a comment, please raise your virtual hand or press *9. Or raise your other regular old hand, I guess. I mean, if we see you, or if you desperately can't figure out any of that, just unmute yourself and say hello. Okay. Seeing and hearing nobody, we will now move into our board resolutions. And again, if anybody's dropping off now that was on, we thank you very much for your participation up till now, and please feel free to stay through the rest of our meeting.
Okay. Approval of minutes, regular meeting, September 8th, 2020. Resolved that the town board of the town of Austin hereby approves the September 8th, 2020 minutes of the regular meeting as presented.
Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Okay. Approval of voucher detail report. Resolved that the town board of the town of Austin hereby approves the voucher detail report dated September 22nd, 2020 in the amount of $842,528.38.
Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Oh, did you want to say something, Councilwoman Feldman?
I just saw one charge for Forest of Fear, and I was kind of wondering about that one.
I believe that's for the continuation of our online, our website. So there were a couple of charges, and I don't think we want to lose the website right now, because we anticipate that will be back again. I think that, you know, conversations that I had had earlier this year with Fern Quesada, who's been running the Forest Affairs for a number of years now. She and I both did not think that this was going to be the year to continue to do this, and there's so much preparation needed that starts early in the year, and making sure that, you know, that there were actors and all of the different work that goes into the incredible effort from volunteers and students and some paid people as well. It didn't seem like it was going to be a possibility to pull it off this year. So that was something that, again, earlier in the year seemed like it was unlikely to happen. However, we certainly want to have the opportunity to continue that in the future when it's safer to have all of those activities, those wonderful activities take place. So we are looking forward to keeping that website open.
Okay, thank you
for the long explanation. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thanks.
Okay. Resolution Local Law Number 2 of 2020, residency requirements for town court attendants. Whereas, due to the stringent qualification requirements established by Westchester County for the court attendant position, the town has found it difficult to find qualified individuals for this position who reside within the town of Austining. And whereas the town, at the county's discretion, desires to amend the town code to expand the permitted residency for the court attendant position beyond the town of Austining in order to ensure the town can hire qualified individuals to serve in this important position to protect the justice court staff and members of the public visiting the justice court. And whereas the town has previously enacted with such provisions for the positions of building inspector and justice court clerks. And whereas preference will still be given to those qualified individuals who reside within the town of Austining, but this local law will give the town flexibility to look beyond those town residents if need be. And whereas the town board held a duly noticed public hearing at its regular meeting on Tuesday, September 8th, 2020, via video conferencing in accordance with the Governor's Executive Orders 202.1 and 202.15, as subsequently extended, and members of the public having the opportunity to attend and be heard, the public hearing was closed on September 8th, 2020. And whereas a short environmental assessment form, Part 1, was prepared pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQRA, and whereas said local law has been on the desks of the members of the town board of the town of Austining for at least 7 days, exclusive of Sunday, prior to the adoption of this resolution. And now therefore be it resolved, the town board hereby determines this action is not subject to SEQRA, as it will not affect the environment, but to the extent it has been determined that this action may affect the environment, the town board adopts a negative declaration determining this action does not have the potential to have any significant adverse environmental impacts, as this action will improve the environment by ensuring the town can hire qualified individuals to protect the justice court staff and members of the public visiting the justice court. And be it further resolved, the town board, after due deliberation, finds that it is in the best interest of the town to adopt said local law, and the town board hereby adopts local law number 2 of 2020, entitled Residency Requirement of Town Court Attendants, to add a new Article 3 to Chapter 47 of the Town Code, Residency Requirements. And be it further resolved, the town clerk is directed to enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting into the local law book for the town of Austining, to publish said minutes in the newspaper published in the town, if any, or if such newspaper published in the county in which such town may be located, having a circulation in such town, and affidavits of said publication shall be filed with the town clerk, and to file a copy of said local law with the Secretary of State of New York.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, so as the resolution states, this local law will allow us to expand the pool of applicants for court attendants to residents outside the town of Austining. We have been particularly challenged finding qualified applicants for this position over a number of years now, so we are hoping that this change in our town code, which mirrors residency requirements for other positions such as court clerk and building inspector, will help us to fill this much needed role. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Roll call vote for a local law, do we need? Okay, so by roll call, sorry.
Okay. Councilmember Wiltshire?
Yes.
Councilmember Feldman?
Aye.
Councilmember Shaw?
Aye.
Councilmember Meyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Levenberg?
Aye. Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you, everybody, and we look forward to having this help us in the very near future. to fill our court attendant positions.
Okay. Request for bid 2020 sewer lift station generator replacement project. Resolved that the town board of the town of Austining authorizes the town clerk to advertise a request for bid for the 2020 sewer lift station generator replacement project. Bid shall be submitted no later than 10 a.m. on Thursday, October 22nd to the office of the town clerk.
Okay, so I am actually going to ask for a motion to table this resolution. Could I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
So the bid specifications and contract for this project are complicated, and they're going to require a much more thorough review by our counsel and consultants than we had anticipated before today. So as we're going to table this resolution for now, hopefully we'll bring it up for a vote with a new date at our next legislative session. All those in favor of tabling the resolution?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Mr. Wiltshire, if you you didn't say aye, so are you opposed? No, I know you're not. I know you like the sewer lift stations. Okay, no, we're all good on that. Thanks.
Okay. Authorizing town justices and town supervisors to submit a grant application to New York State Office of Court Administration. Resolved that the town board of the town of Austining hereby authorizes the town justices and town supervisor to submit a 2021 Justice Court Assistance Program application to the New York State Office of Court Administration with a request not to exceed $30,000.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So our Justice Court has the opportunity to apply to the New York State Office of Court Administration for financial assistance with various projects and capital purchases, including computers and other office equipment. We're happy to enable them to apply and to get us some funds from the state. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Wonderful.
Okay. Resignation part-time intermediate clerk. Resolved that the town board of the town of Austining accepts the resignation of Daniela Velez with regret from her position as a part-time intermediate clerk effective September 21st, 2020.
A motion?
So moved.
Second.
We are so sad to see our clerk's office part-timer go, but like many of us these days, Daniela had to make some tough choices to balance the needs of her family and was unable to continue working with the town. We wish her all the best and thank her for her time working for the town. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed?
Okay, authorization for town supervisor to sign an agreement with Passport Labs Incorporated. Resolved that upon review by the council to the town supervisor is authorized to sign an agreement with Passport Labs Incorporated, 128 South Siren Street, 2200, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28202 for parking ticket and enforcement hardware and associated software.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, we'll take
Second.
Mr. Wiltshire as a, right, there we go. Okay, so the town and the village have been working with ComPlus, which is now known as Passport Labs, for several years, as they provide software for things like parking ticket payments, issuing parking permits, and handheld devices for issuing tickets. The expense to the town for the software is actually a pass-through to the village, as they pay us back for all of the expenses in our court relating to parking tickets. We're looking forward to signing this new contract because when we do so, it will allow us to receive some much needed software updates which get used in our court, and that's a good thing. Any discussion? Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Great.
Okay. Correspondence to be received and filed. Resolved that the town board of the town of Austining hereby accepts the following correspondence: Bethany Arts ZBA transcript, August 17th, 2020. Matthew Way, 6 Minkle Road, ZBA resolution and transcript from the August 17th, 2020 meeting.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed?
Okay. Monthly report. Resolved that the town board of the town of Austining hereby accepts the following monthly report to the month of August 2020, Town Building Department.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay. With that, we move into our visitor recognition on anything whatsoever. And I see that we still have a few people from the public. So if anybody wanted to make a comment, please raise your virtual hand or since there are not a lot of you, if you want to just unmute yourself and be recognized or start to speak, we will recognize you. Okay, well, thank you all for sticking with us. We're very appreciative. And now I would just ask for a motion to adjourn to executive session for personnel, advice of counsel, and contracts.
So move.
Second.
Have a wonderful night, everyone. Oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I must have missed that. Have a wonderful night, everyone. As a reminder, next week is the 5th Tuesday. Everybody cheer. Yay. It means we will not have a meeting. Our next meeting will be a work session on Tuesday, October 6th, still via Zoom. I think we're going to anticipate the governor's going to extend that again, which I think he does October 3rd. So as I said earlier, those of you observing Yom Kippur with me, I hope you have an easy fast. Have a wonderful week or two. We will see you in a bit. Have a great night, everybody.
Night.
Night.
Bye.